I don't think there's been a technology, you could argue, in the last 50 years that America hasn't dominated. But now in blockchain, most of the activity is outside of America. Brian Armstrong is visiting the UAE very publicly this last week, shaking hands with all the people saying how wonderful it is over there. Dubai's not far from Hong Kong when it comes to being very open.
I would say Dubai, at least this moment in time, is actually ahead of Hong Kong in terms of regulatory framework. But certainly Hong Kong has the ambition to overtake Dubai and other places. You know, the narrative last year for Hong Kong was to be the regional leader. I think Hong Kong has a shot at being a global leader, because when you think about it in terms of stock markets and liquidity as a market in the traditional world, Hong Kong Stock Exchange is top 5 in the world, right? I mean,
that foreign exchange was always a hub.
Exactly. So it's a major trade and finance center. And Hong Kong also recognizes that. How do you sort of regain the fintech crown and be a player in the space? It's to do stuff in Web3. But here's other thing that's really interesting, which is that in Asia and in the Middle East, and to some extent Europe, part of the reason why people are driving so hard into Web3 is because there's a degree of being fed up and being sort of colonized by American technologies. Right? I mean, think about it. Everywhere else in the world, they depend on, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Amazon or Google, right? Except for places that close their markets like China. Actually, all over the world, they're dependent on American technologies. So they are, in effect, as a nation, colonized. Now think about what that means for things like national security, and think about what that means for sort of dissemination of your local culture and your local identity. They don't want that. So the countries have basically said, this is an opportunity in which you can grab that sort of narrative back. And for some whatever reason, America has willingly surrendered its lead that it had for the time being. That, the Japanese Prime Minister has made Web3 in the metaverse one of his national agenda items, as has Hong Kong, for instance, and parts of the Middle East. And even Europe, with the recent sort of proposals on the micro rules, actually looks like Europe is going to have more progressive sort of blockchain, crypto, and Web3 related laws than America. I mean, when has this happened, right? This is the astounding thing. And of course, unfortunately, I think a lot of people would conclude that it is more political in nature than it has anything to do with the underlying. Because it's very, very rare that the rest of the world seems to be going in one direction and America's going the other one. That is extremely rare to see. So again, it's other forces at work, shall we say.
Yeah, it's very political. I mean, if you look at some of the hearings recently, whether it's the FTX one or there was another one recently, stablecoins, I'm not sure it was, but I mean, I watch them and they're almost like comedy, because each party just comes in and just takes their digs, usually at the other party, as the person in front of them is the whipping boy, whether it's Twitter or this or that, and all you see is a big division, and you see no innovation or advancement. And that's really what's happening right now. And again, like you said, when
it's
Europe,
driving innovation outside.
Yeah,
right?
outside.
It's driving innovation outside. It's not to say that they don't want to innovate. It's that they have to go elsewhere to continue doing that. I think this, however, is not a bad thing necessarily, because it forces people to become competitive. Hong Kong was very complacent a couple of years ago, pre-COVID and pre-protests. So when Singapore, for instance, was starting to lead in the space, they're like, it's Singapore, they'll do what they do, but people will just automatically come to Hong Kong, which was true for a moment in time. But then all these things happened, and all these setbacks happened, and Hong Kong woke up and we need to be competitive. They even have a Web3 marketing fund in Hong Kong, right? I mean, that to me is astounding. It shows that Hong Kong is no longer thinking that we can just have people come to us because we're Hong Kong. We have to stay competitive. We have to do stuff. We have to motivate and create incentives to stay ahead of the curve. And that to me is, I think, hopefully where America will land as well. Because of course, if Hong Kong is becoming a leader in Web3, this isn't about Hong Kong. This is about the other superpower as well, which is China, to say, hey, we have a way in which we can play in this field and have a narrative through Hong Kong, right? I mean, this is the politics at play. And if there's perhaps one nation in the world that the US is paying attention very carefully, it will probably be that one.
Can you explain this relationship between Hong Kong and China? Or do you need 100 years and 1,000 pages to explain?
No, it's a very simple relationship. I mean, there's more complexity, but generally speaking, Hong Kong has always been the financial center and basically the gateway in and out of China. But when you think about whether you invest in China or whether Chinese nationals want to invest into the world, Hong Kong has been that hub. And a lot of people used to say, Shanghai or Guangzhou or other regions in China will eventually displace Hong Kong. It's not going to work. Absolutely not true. If anything, in a certain global environment, Hong Kong has solidified itself even more in its role. Someone's not going to go to China and to Shanghai and conduct the same kind of business as they could do in Hong Kong. It's not just the rule of law and the infrastructure in place, it's the culture.
The history, the human capital, everything in place.
The human capital, the fact that Hong Kong has been this cultural bridge between East and West isn't something that you can just replicate overnight. It's generations and generations of it, right? Even though as a city, Shanghai is super modern and very progressive and a wonderful place, the culture of Shanghai is not the culture of Hong Kong. Right. And if you want to trade with the world, well, you know, the lingua franca of the world is still English, Hong Kong is the place. You have great English in China, by the way, right? I mean, I think there's more people studying English in China than there's Americans in America, for instance. Okay. So as a quantum, there's enough people learning English, but that doesn't mean that you bring with it all of the culture in which you can conduct business or create relationships and have the freedom to travel and conduct business in that manner. So Hong Kong is the most important trading port, I would say, for China into the world and outside. Now, there's certain policies like Belt and Road and so on that you could say that China is also creating on the side. That's obviously critical to them to create other frameworks for this. But I don't think they're going to have the same impact, at least in the near to midterm, as what Hong Kong has right now. And that to me also means, and this is obviously speculation at this point, is that when you think about Web3 and broadly digital assets, if you're a person from China, instead of putting your money in Singapore, which is what you used to do, you can now do it through Hong Kong, for instance. And that actually is better for, you know, the Greater China region, but it's also a way in which Hong Kong becomes more relevant in this. And I think much of the innovation and development in the Web3 and broadly digital asset space will come from the region for that reason.
And people forget a lot of crypto startups were in Hong Kong. Right. Crypto.com, FTX back in the day, yes. You know, just saying. But there was a lot of, that was the place to go for innovation. And again, a former big financial hub. I mean, when I started on Wall Street, Hong Kong was big. Singapore was obviously pulling market share there for various reasons. But yeah, it's got that history. Imagine if Brian Armstrong just moved Coinbase there. Do you think that would get the attention maybe of US regulators a little bit?
Yes, yeah. It's a matter of, I wonder if it's a matter of how much do you want to poke the bear? But certainly I think it would send an incredible message if they actually were even considering it. I think Brian Armstrong doesn't even necessarily have to say anything. He just has to visit Hong Kong.
Yeah.
He just has to come in and take a look. That's all he has to do.
I know. Wear the suit, shake a few hands.
That's right.
Post it on Twitter. That's all you need to do, right? Old school. I wish you would, because it might just get everybody together when it comes to regulation in the States. Yeah. So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy.
The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple-digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm gonna tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up.
If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you gonna do? What's the choice that you're going to make?